Aww. I don't always spend time on the TikTok app, but when I do, I spend hours. Guess what though? Your customers are spending hours on TikTok too, so we should probably get in front of them with some ads, shouldn't we? In the last shot of Espresso, I shared with you how to set up a first basic TikTok ads campaign. And for this shot of Espresso, I'm going to be talking to you about analyzing and optimizing campaigns on TikTok and share some of the strategies that we used after spending multiple six figures on TikTok ads in Q4 2021. Let's dig right in. Hey, all you shiny people. All right, so here we go. TikTok ads, analyzing and optimizing. Just wanted to spend some time to sort of give you an overview of some of the strategies that we used at the end of Q4 2021. We spent a good bit of time and money testing different ShineOn products, and we're very happy with the results that we've got with TikTok so far, and we're still in the early stages, so you're not late to that party. But let's go ahead and take a look at some of the things here. Now, on this page here, I broke it down into the different campaign setups, and we'll get into that here in a second. But at each level of your campaign setup, I did go in and type out some of the settings that we had right here just as a reference for you. So we have the campaign level, the ad group level, and all the bullet points there, and then the actual ad level itself. I'm not going to be going through all of that in this one. Again, because the previous shot of Espresso, I did go through basic setup for everything, but you can follow this too. I want to focus more on the actual strategies that we did use while we were running the campaigns. So the foundational structure that we chose was 1-2-2. And for people that are coming from the Facebook realm, when we're talking about 1-1-1 or 1-2-2, we're talking about the campaign level, ad group level, and then ad level. So one campaign, 2 ad groups, and 2 ads per ad group. And we were running these as basically ad group optimization, or as you often hear, ABO, ad budget optimization. In TikTok, they call them ad groups. Same thing. So what we would do is we would set up one campaign. We'd have the 2 ad groups. One ad group would be basically an auto bid. I'll just go ahead and go to the next page and show you so we can start looking at this. So lowest cost campaigns. There are 2 main bid types right now, and it's lowest cost campaigns and lowest cost cap campaigns. There is going to be a bid cap coming soon, but these are the 2 that are the main ones right now. And TikTok, again, is going to keep releasing different options and settings and things like that along the way. So, just adapt with that. And there are usually a lot of good help menus and flyouts that you can look at within the campaign manager. If you have any questions about different things, similar to Facebook, there's usually different help files and such, even right in the campaign setup process. So lowest cost campaigns are basically an auto bid strategy where you just set a budget. Let's say the budget, I'll run through this right here actually. So what we did is TikTok likes to see 50 conversions so that it can get into optimization for your campaign. So at a product at $39.95, if we need 50 conversions, you take that, multiply it by 50, and that gives you almost $2,000 for the week. Then you divide that by 7, and you get a daily budget that you can start with, which is about $285 per day. And again, that's at the ad group level. And that was kind of a starting point for us when we were testing the ads. And again, it doesn't mean you have to spend $285 per day for the whole week. You may not even spend it for the day that you're running it, but it's a starting point to try to ensure that you get to that point of 50 conversions if it is a campaign that's showing promise and that you're going to keep running. So TikTok does like broader audiences, and you do sort of have to have a higher budgets to really start testing and optimizing. Facebook, we often talk about a strategy of doing $5 ad campaigns or ad budgets and testing multiple different interests. For TikTok, it's just more of a process of going broad and making sure there's enough budget to really start testing your ads. And I will say at this point in the video that it's good to still start with Facebook ads. Facebook ads are still a great base knowledge for running ads for ShineOn products. TikTok is almost a good secondary strategy if you have a product that you know is working, or if you had a product that sold over Christmas time, let's say, that can also sell for Valentine's Day or another holiday, or just in general, any random month of the year. If you can test it in Facebook and see that it has potential, or you are already selling it profitably on Facebook, that's a good opportunity to then take that product and create a video for it on TikTok and then start testing it there. Where you can run into some trouble is to test a lot of new products in TikTok, and you may have to spend more on TikTok to test than you would if you're running Facebook ads. Now, that's not to discourage you from trying to test brand new products on TikTok, and there may be some products that sort of lend itself to sell better on TikTok because maybe it's a more visual product or design or theme or niche or whatever it is. So you're still welcome to do that, but overall, we're just suggesting that you would start with Facebook ads, try to find something that has promise already, and then move that over to TikTok ads. So lowest cost is more of an automated bid strategy. If we're saying $285 a day, then TikTok will say, okay, I will try to get you as many sales as I can at the lowest cost. And I did do a screenshot of the little fly out window that they have here. It says lowest cost, and it even warns you. I was actually surprised that it even says this, but it's true. It says spend your budget fully and get the maximum possible results. Things to consider: your cost per result may rise as your budget increases. So I would say people that are, again, also familiar with the Facebook realm, a lot of times it's like, oh, hey, this campaign's working, I'm just going to add $1,000 to my budget, and then all of a sudden it blows up and you're not profitable anymore. It can overspend. So that's what this little curve is here. As your budget increases, you may start losing, your cost per result. So just be aware of that. That's where you can start getting into a little bit of trouble. And sometimes you have to just say, okay, let's say the budget's working at $285 and you raise it to anything above that and you can't ever be profitable, but you can be profitable at $285, then you just may have to say, okay, this is a campaign that I just have to keep at that budget. That's what works. And this isn't a gangbuster, hot seller, but it is profitable. And so you just keep it at that budget. That way you maintain profitability. And that's okay. Some people use more of a baseball reference. This may be, a first base or second base hit kind of a product where you can consistently make some money on it, but it's not going to be a home run every time, and that's okay. So cost cap campaigns. So basically with cost caps, and instead of just reading through some of this, I'll just sort of share with you. Cost cap, similar to cost cap with Facebook, is that you basically set a budget. So let's say $1,000 a day, and then you tell TikTok, this is the cost that I want to spend for a conversion. So if it's a $50 product, I might say cost cap $50, and TikTok is going to be trying to get me a conversion at that rate. Overall, we found cost cap to be more consistent through the busy holiday season. Now, lowest cost worked really well early on, and then it started falling apart a little bit as more marketers were in there advertising for the holiday season, and then cost cap just ended up being more consistent overall. So some of the strategies with cost cap, we're really dealing with a few main things as you're testing your product. Number one thing always is creative with TikTok ads. TikTok likes to see fresh content. They want you posting new videos. Even as an organic influencer or creator, the same with advertising. They don't want people to get burned out from the same ads over and over again. So it's something you really have to keep an eye on. Depending on how much you're spending on a particular ad, you can burn through your audience quickly because TikTok does have a much smaller audience than Facebook, but there's still millions and millions of users. But you just may see a point where it's working really well. Maybe you get through, several weeks, a week or two, with an ad that's working and you're selling profitably, but it could start waning, dropping a little bit, and you may have to try to switch out the creative. It's still a good practice to test different, when I say test different creatives, I mean the actual ad itself. it's just a good practice to do that anyways. And so you may find that the product isn't necessarily dead. It's just you might need to refresh with a new video. So keep that in mind as you go along. So yeah, so if we wanted to set, say, $1,000 budget, and then we wanted $50 a cost cap, that can work very well, and that's what we spend most of our time doing over the busy holiday season. And then here's a screenshot for that, and you can click on these images if you want to learn a little bit more about cost cap and different bid types. It says things to remember: you may not spend your budget fully. So that's an important thing to note here too. I know if I say $1,000 a day, some of you might think, wow, that's a lot of money. I can't afford that. And you don't have to start at $1,000 a day budget. But even if you do, it's most of the time it's not going to spend the whole budget anyways. So, and again, it's going to depend on your bid too. So let's say $50 bid one day, or depending on time of year, time of week, or what, holidays and things, $50 bid may be really competitive, and you may be getting a cost per sale at half of that or less. As competition rises, you may have to increase your budget from $50 to $53 or $55 to win more of the bids. You may still be able to get $40 sale, $30 sale out of it, but you still have to bid the higher amount in order for it to balance out and average out to a cost that works for you in terms of cost per purchase. So it's a balance of playing with the bids and then also eventually playing with the budgets. And we saw that work. Again, there's a lot of things that can work, and again, it's always about testing. And what may have worked for Christmas time, fourth quarter, may not work for another holiday. There may be some other strategies or adjustments to that, but I just wanted to share with you some of the things that we were doing that were working, and to give you some ideas for testing on your own too. So definitely always be willing to go creative on your own too with different strategies and trying things out yourself. So overall, that was really the strategy. We would set and schedule ads to start. I know some people like to start at midnight the next day. Other people like to start at 6 a.m. For me, I was starting ads at more like 6 a.m. in the morning, and then letting it run through the day, seeing how it spends. If it's profitable and doing pretty well by midday, maybe increase budgets. In the more competitive time, you may even increase bids during the day as well. If you're seeing one of your campaigns that's just not spending at $40, $45, then maybe you just increase the bid and see if you can get it to start spending more and spending profitably. So taking one step back to the lowest cost campaigns again, I mentioned we did the 1-2-2 strategy. And again, it doesn't have to stay that way with every campaign, but it's just kind of a good way to start. So with the lowest cost, so 1-2-2, one campaign, 2 ad groups, 2 ads. The 2 ad groups, one was more of a broad targeting, and then the other ad group was interest targeting. TikTok has multiple different types of interest targeting that you can do. Just think about where your buyers are. And it doesn't have to be directly related. Even if it was, and a lot of times we talk about niches, like, fishing products or something that's fishing related. It doesn't necessarily have to be that niched down. And a lot of the advertising platforms like TikTok aren't doing as well now because of some of the iOS 14, 15, and beyond changes. So really, it's less about trying to match the niche of my product to a specific niche targeting. It's looking at just where are these people, what are interests of these people in general. Maybe the people that you're targeting are Walmart shoppers or Target shoppers, or maybe they like fast food restaurants or different interests like that, where people aren't just one-dimensional. They have lots of things that they do. And so think about the actual buyer themselves. What are things that they would be interested in? Where do they shop? Where do they buy? What do they do? That sort of thing. And I think when you focus on that, when you're setting up your targeting in any platform, TikTok included, I think you'll do well to really find those interests, and it takes a lot of the guesswork out of it. So which campaign bid strategy should I use? It's really both. It's just a testing process, with each different holiday, different time of year, as TikTok changes and improves in their systems, or maybe they change their algorithm. It's really going to be about testing different strategies as a whole. So not one is necessarily better than the other, but just sharing, cost cap did work better for us in at least this past holiday. Now, if you're thinking about scaling, let's say you have a campaign, you want to scale. Again, one way is to increase the budgets. So if you're doing 1,000 a day, maybe you bump it up to 1,500 a day or 2,000 a day, and just see if you can maintain your cost per purchase at that rate. Really, to scale, it's going to be increasing the budget, or it's going to be breaking it out into multiple ad groups. So in one case, maybe you have, even with cost cap campaigns, maybe you have a broad campaign that doesn't have any targeting or any interests rather, and then you have a second one that does have different interests. And you can create different groups of interests. Don't just choose one interest, because TikTok again has a smaller marketplace right now. It's better to combine multiple interests into one ad group. But even still, if you did 15 to 20 interests in one ad group, you could try 15 to 20 interests in a completely different ad group. So then now you have two ad groups, each at $1,000 a day budget, and that's going to start, increasing your overall sales that way. So moving on to the analyzing page of the PDF here. So when you're first starting a campaign, the most information you have is at the top of your funnel, right? It's the people that are coming in. What is the click-through rate of the ads themselves is always a good place to start, especially with video ads. In most cases, we want to aim for at least a 1% click-through rate on the ad. It can still be a profitable campaign, even if it's lower than that or a little bit, but in most cases, I wouldn't go any lower than probably 0.5% of click-through rate. That's definitely in a territory where it's going to be really hard to be profitable. But at least get 1% or above. Again, that's a top-of-funnel metric. It's the people that are first seeing the ad. What is the percentage of people that are actually clicking on the ad? And then once you have people clicking on the ad, you can start looking at metrics on your product page. What percentage of people are adding to cart? Are people adding to cart at all? It's important to make sure that people are taking each step along that journey to making that purchase. And then looking at the overall conversion rate. You can see the CVR conversion rate within your TikTok ad campaign. Look at that. See if you're 1 to 5%. And if you're seeing a campaign that does have a really high percentage, that's a metric too to take a look at. But overall, cost per purchase, or CPAs, as you'll see it in TikTok, is one of the important metrics to look at as you're running your campaigns. If you know that if you maintain a cost per action that's at least $50 or less, again, it's going to depend on your product price and your average order value to what your number is, because you'll have to take ad cost and the cost of goods sold, figure out what that number is, and figure out what your break-even point is for making the sale. So if you know $50, if I can spend $50 all day long on TikTok ads to get a sale, and I'm going to at least be break-even, or I'm going to be profitable, then you can keep an eye on that each day and just make sure that you're maintaining it within that tight range, so that you know that you're maintaining profit. Again, on the day-to-day, when you are running the ad, it can fluctuate. One day, it may be awful and not doing real well, but then the next day is a day that's more of a sales day, and a lot more people are buying, and your CPA is really low. So the main thing is, don't get caught up on just looking at the day-to-day. Sometimes it's best, and it usually is best, especially after you have some extra time that you've put on the campaign. Look at 3-day, 5-day, 7-day, and base your decisions on those once you know that you have a product that you're going to keep running. And for marketers and business owners that know that this is, sales are a long game. We have a business and not just trying to sell, one-off products. It's understanding that even if we're at break even with the sales, we know that we can follow up with those people, because the people that have made a purchase, we have their contact information. We can follow up with them via emails, in some cases SMS campaigns if you're collecting phone numbers, and you can also remarket them in the future with ads if you wanted to. So at a break-even cost, let's say it costs me $50, and then let's say $50 is my break-even point. Any sale that you make after that from that same customer is going to be profit at that point, as long as you're not spending more money, right? If you're sending an email campaign or something. So those are some things to keep in mind too. But to keep things really simple, ultimately you can look at the key metric of money in and money out. If your total cost is $50, you make $60 on the sale, then congratulations, you're profitable, right? So just keep an eye on things, keep an eye on profit, and don't let things go too far. Monitor it each day, and just make sure that you're getting the results that you need. All right, so a few things on the optimizing page here that I want to just talk to you about briefly. Again, I talked about TikTok craving new ad creatives, so that's one thing that you can always do if your click-through rates are low or start getting too low. It's creating another ad. Again, that can be simple. Change out the intro to the ad. It can be the same overall video, but maybe you just change out the hook or the angle that you take on the front end, or something different at the beginning that's interesting, or you change the overlay text. Maybe it says one thing in the first ad that worked, but then you just change it out with another overlay text to get attention, and maybe find one works better than the other. So just simple things like that can help you create multiple versions of essentially the same ad. So for first day testing, let's say if the product was $60, and I've used different price points, but again, just the main thing here is a lot of times you have to at least spend the cost of the item to start testing and to start collecting data. What we often tended to do is we would give it, up to, let's say, double the price even of the product as we're testing, just to see, maybe we just had one bad day or whatnot. But we would give it a little bit of leeway to get some spend. And really, if we're by $100, $120, if we're not getting a sale, then that's not looking really good. If we are getting a sale, we're going to give it another day, see how it does. It's really just looking at what your overall costs are. Sometimes you do have to spend a little extra money on the front end to get that data and realize, okay, yeah, this one's working, this one's not. Maybe you're killing some of the loser ad sets, or some of the interests aren't working. Keep the ones that are. See if you can get it into profit if it's showing some early signs of hope. Let's say the click-through rate's really good. People obviously are resonating with the video and they're clicking over, but maybe they're not adding to cart. Maybe the price point is a little high, or maybe something is throwing them off on the product page. So look at each of those metrics along the way again. And again, in some cases, if you have a really high click-through rate, but the cost per action seems a little bit high, just consider your targeting too on the front end in the campaign itself. Make some adjustments, try a few different things. If you are running a lowest cost campaign, again, a 20% increase is pretty reasonable per day if it's doing well. If you're profitable, keep increasing the budget each day as you can. If it's sort of staying the same, maybe you don't increase it every day, but you let it sit as is another day and see if it's increasing. Again, just keep testing different things. I know I say that a lot, but that's really how it works. Yeah, and another note, depending on your comfortability and what you're seeing in your campaigns, you may find that the early morning hours don't perform as well for you. So let's say midnight hits and the budget is refreshed for the day. You may see a lot of really high CPAs between, let's say, 12 a.m. to 6 a.m. And yes, you can capture some sales from people that wouldn't normally see the ad, and that's important, and that can balance in the greater whole of the day, right? Maybe the CPAs are high in the middle of the night, but it balances itself out through the day, and you still get those extra sales. That's one scenario. Another scenario too is if you're just really seeing that it's a problem where the ad spend that you're seeing early on in the morning is just causing too much of a deficit for your overall cost per actions for the day, then you can consider pausing your campaigns the night before and then restarting them the next day, back at the original budget. If you're doing cost cap, let's say if you're doing the budget 1,000, you can reset things. If you've been increasing it during the day or whatnot, you can drop it back down to the 1,000 and start afresh again, and then just turn them on in the morning. So just different ideas, different strategies. Sometimes you can also look at doing an accelerated budget spend in the morning if you find that you're getting a lot more sales in the morning, so you want to capture as many of those people as you can. You can do that, and then you could also then do more of a standard release. Sorry, there's basically accelerated spend, where it's going to try to, if it sees that someone might buy, it'll spend more of the money early on, as opposed to spreading it out through the whole day. So there's accelerated and there's standard. You can try different things like testing day parting, where you just have an accelerated campaign for morning, and then maybe you have another campaign that's standard budget spend through the whole day. And test something like that as well. So I'm just sharing some of the different things that you can be thinking about as you're going along in your own campaigns. These are some things that we tried, and some things work, and sometimes they work for a while, but they don't continue long term, but still worth doing and testing. So that was some of the overnight stuff that we just talked about there. So again, I mentioned $1,000 budgets multiple times in this video, but you can start lower if you're doing cost cap. Test something at 200 or 300 or 400. Again, most of the time you're not going to spend the whole budget anyways. I would look at bids, from $40 to $60 or more. Again, you could set the bid at $100, and you may still be getting, cost per purchases at $50 or less. It just really depends on the competition and all that sort of thing. In short, with cost caps, test bids, budgets, increase budgets for profitable campaigns, turn off the campaigns that are not profitable, and you can also scale a winning product by creating new ad groups with new targeting, new ad text, or new video ads. So again, always keep that in mind too. You can test different video ads themselves, but you also have the actual call to action, and you have the text description that will show up at the bottom of your video. So always think about testing those out as well, especially as you're finding a product that works. Then you're really becoming a data scientist, and you're getting in there and you're testing every little thing that you can to see if you can improve your cost per purchases, increase your conversion rates overall, or even just your click-through rates on the ads themselves. That's it for this shot of espresso with analyzing and optimizing your TikTok ads, some of the strategies that we looked at today. Feel free to drop your comments below wherever this is posted. Interact with some of the other sellers that are in here, and we're all happy to help each other out. Hopefully that was helpful, and remember, you've got this. Always stay shiny, and I'll catch you in the next one.